Okay, welcome guys. And so we're going to do introductions here in just a second. Before we do that, myself and Kathy Gallen here, we're going to introduce ourselves. My name is Tanner Atkins. I'm the 4-H specialist for Franklin and Gaston County and Crawford, Osage, and Cole. And so it's good to be here with you guys tonight, and I'll allow Kathy to introduce herself as well.
And I'm Kathy Galland, and I'm the 4-H specialist for Marys, Miller, Pulaski, and Phelps County.
So we're excited to be here with you guys tonight, and we expect it to be about 45 minutes-esque, and we'll finish up with tonight, and we're just going to cover some basics for being a president and vice president. So for this evening's topics, we're going to cover introductions, so we're going to get to know you guys a little bit better. We're also going to cover then what the broad agendas of what presidents and vice presidents will be working on in their club meetings. And Kathy's going to dive into parliamentary procedure with us all and give you a great activity in that realm. We're also going to talk about committees tonight and the role of vice presidents and also presidents play in that. Then also we're going to cover a few officer characteristics to finish up the evening. And as we go through tonight, if you do have any questions, please ask us. We want you to be as interactive as possible. And that's actually part of this next thing is when we're going through all the content tonight, listen to others when they're speaking. They'll probably have some great ideas that you might be able to take back to your own club. And so this is the time for you guys to collect ideas as well. And then if possible, please leave your cameras on. We're gonna have a few activities tonight that we would love to be able to see you for and be able to interact a little bit better for that. And share your experiences. So if you do have anything to add to our content, we'd love to hear about it. So please do that as well. And then again, ask any questions as we go through tonight. And so again, ask any questions, stop us anytime if you have anything you want to ask. So for our introduction for tonight, we're going to start off with the small tasks. And so what this has required you is here on the screen. So I want you guys to find wait until I say go on this, but I want you guys to find an item around you or maybe in your household that you can hold in one hand. So remember, it doesn't need to be very big. You need to be able to hold it in one hand that describes you or a hobby that you enjoy. So you or a hobby that you enjoy. So when I say go, you'll have 3 minutes to kind of figure out what you want to get from that. And maybe it's right next to you, maybe it's across the house. You'll have 3 minutes to go find your item. And so once everyone has returned, you'll show your name, your county, your club, and what your item is and kind of the background to that. So for example, so I would say, hi guys, my name is Tanner Atkins. I'm from Franklin County. I'm from the Mount Tabor 4-H Club, and my item is a basic water bottle or an Nalgene water bottle. And this describes me because I'm big into camping and hiking, and I take my water bottles with me all the time. So I got to go on a lot of camping and hiking trips over my few years, and so I really enjoyed that. And so that's kind of what you'll do when you get back. Do you guys have any questions before we start that? Awesome. And your 3 minutes has started, so go. If I have anyone that's just jumped on, what we're doing right now is you're finding an item that you can hold in your hand and that you'll be able to describe you or maybe a hobby that you do. So if you just jumped on, that's what we're looking for, some kind of small item that you can describe you or a hobby you do around you. We got one more minute to finish up here. Everyone make their way back to their computers and phones. And that is 3 minutes. So let's get started there. I'm actually just going to go through and name people as we go through because it kind of makes it a little bit easier. So it's not as awkward for us deciding on who needs to go first. So when I call your first name, if you would please go. And if you have any issues, just let us know. Lane, you're the first up on my screen.
Hi, my name's Lane Inglemeyer. I am from Phelps County. I am the president of Country Kids 4-H. My hobby is pigs. I raise them at my farm.
Thank you, Lane. Lizzy or Elizabeth.
Hi, my name is Lizzy. I'm from Gastonade County. My club is BEM 4-H, and my hobby is photography because I like to take pictures of nature and other stuff.
Thank you, Lizzy.
You're welcome.
Austin, you're my next up. Oh, you're still on mute, bud.
Okay. My name is Austin Hellman, and I am from Washington, Missouri, in Franklin County. I am vice president of the Eager Beavers Club, and I have my Xbox controller because that's what I like to do in my spare time.
Awesome. I feel like there's a few of us on here like that.
Oh yeah, and I play a game where I raise animals on it, so.
Oh, cool.
It reminds me of 4-H.
Thank you, Austin. Amelia?
Hi, my name's Amelia, and I am in Franklin County, and I'm the president of Country Kids 4-H. I'm holding a ribbon that I won from one of the fairs because I show sheep over the summer and raise them.
Awesome. Thank you, Amelia. Yes, Davis family is one of our top sheep people in Franklin County. Josie?
Hi, my name is Josie Gleason. I'm from Washington, Missouri, and I am president of Forever Clever 4-H Club. I am at school right now, so I don't really have anything with me, but I like to halter break young steers.
Oh, awesome. What kind of steers do you show again?
They are Angus mixed with Gelby, some of them.
Awesome. Thank you, Josie.
Mm-hmm.
Next one I have up is, if someone's there, is Tracy's iPhone. I don't know if there's anyone there for that one.
My name's Allison Staples. I'm from Crawford County, and I'm the president of Oak Hill 4-H Club. And my object is a pencil because I'm always becoming prepared.
Thank you, Allison. Next one I have on here, it says Christy, but my guy, what's your name?
Hi, my name is Blaine Sigelhorst, and I live in Gasconade County, and I'm vice president of Drake 4-H, and I have a toy tractor here because in my spare time I like to play with toy tractors.
Awesome. Thank you, Blaine. Sarah, you're my next one up.
Hi, I'm Sarah Chushoff. I'm the president of Woolen 4-H in Gascony County. And my item is a ribbon because
Cut out there for a little while, but I think we got it. You were president of Woolham and you like showing you had a ribbon there.
yeah, I had my ribbon that I got at the National Western Stock Show.
Oh, National Western. Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. Next one I have on my list is Delta.
Hi, my name is Faith Hanna. I'm the vice president of Gouldering Kids 4-H Club in Crawford County, and I have a steer halter because I show steers.
Awesome. Thank you, Delta. Ashlyn?
My name is Ashlyn Hellman. I am the president of the Washington Eager Beavers 4-H Club, and the item that I have is a dog toy because I really like animals and playing with my dog.
Awesome. Thank you, Ashlyn. Next one I have on my screen is Cook D.
Are you gonna go first?
It's actually Daniel Cook. It's just my email account. But I am the vice president for Evening Star 4-H Club.
And Daniel, what county are you in? And is there any hobby or anything you'd like to share?
I'm in Phelps County and I do bowling.
Don't mute yet.
And there's someone else there with you.
Yeah.
Braxton Carter, the president of the Evening Star.
My name is Braxton Crider. I'm in Phelps County, and I'm the president of the Evening Star 4-H Club.
And I think, I'm sorry, I think we also have former vice president and current vice president of the 4-H Council as well.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, my hobby is bowling. So I like to bowl in tournaments. It's slowed down quite a bit because COVID, but normally it goes well for the club and for myself.
Awesome. Thank you, Braxton and Daniel. Kayleen, am I saying that right?
It's Kaylin.
Kaylin.
My name is Kaylin Sackman. I live in Crawford County, and I'm the president of Yadkin Creek 4-H Club. And I have I don't know if you can see that, but it's a volleyball keychain because that's my favorite sport to play.
Awesome. Thank you. McKenzie.
Hi, I'm McKenzie Harmon. I'm from Phelps County, and I'm the president of Young Riders 4-H Club. And I have a pom-pom because I'm a varsity cheerleader too.
Awesome. We got lots of Phelps County people on tonight. Thanks for joining us, guys. Okay, did I miss anyone? I think I did. Awesome. Okay, we'll go on. And so again, I gave mine. Kathy, did you have anything you'd want to share?
Oh, I have a Mizzou coffee mug handy here. I have to have my coffee handy at all times, and MIZ.
Yo, you. Okay, so we'll get into the more of the content tonight, guys. So again, ask any questions as we go along. I'll ask you a few things if you would be so gracious to respond to, or if you have ideas, we'd love to hear that. So let's move on here. So for the president and vice president, so when we talk about the president, they have direct responsibility for what's happening in those club meetings. And so they are the director. And I assume most of you know that. But then when we move down to the vice president, they take over if the president isn't available to be there at the time, but they also oversee committees. And so we'll jump into committees and what they look like here in a little while. But remember that vice presidents really take on a lot of that committee work. And so the president and the vice president work really closely together to accomplish all of that club business that has to happen each year. So now we're going to jump into agendas. And so when we're talking about agendas, this isn't what you think about maybe just the voting part of your meeting, but this is from start to finish. So the things that happen at your meeting from the very moment people walk in until the moment they're walking out the door when you're done, or when you're done with your Zoom meeting, however you're meeting currently. Anyone have any ideas of what are some of the major things that you have to do at a club meeting? And so what are some of the major things you do at each of your club meetings? Does anyone have any ideas on that?
At the Forever Clever Club meetings, we get there, give it a little time to let everybody come in, and then we take roll call.
Awesome. Yes, and roll call is part of one of the major topics we'll talk about tonight.
We do both of the pledges, the 4-H and
Yep, and the pledges are part of an important club.
American.
And I apologize if I cut you off there a little bit, Sarah. You're cut out a little bit. But anyone else have any ideas? Take one more response.
You do a roll call.
Yep, we'll do roll call. So we'll jump into this now. And so when we look at this, there's really 5 major things we break down the meeting into. And so a lot of times when we break this down in Missouri 4-H, we have those activities for those early bird people. So as you're arriving, there might be an activity or a game for them to do as they show up into meetings. Now, not saying that all of your clubs do this, but this is just a general breakdown of what we kind of see across clubs and what we'd like to see. But as we go through this, again, not all clubs may do this, but we'd love to see them in all clubs. So we have an activity that club members can participate, or something for them to do as they walk in while we're waiting for the meeting to really start. And so once the meeting starts, that's when we talk about the business part of it, so the business meeting. So this is what we think about when we do all of those, the roll call and the voting, the pledges, all of that is part of the business meeting. And this usually lasts between 20 and 30 minutes is what we like to shoot for in this. And so that's the business meeting part, and we're going to break that down in a little bit more here in just a second. After that, we move into the program. And so what's a program? Well, a program is 20 minutes, or it can be even longer depending on who you have there. But a program is something that goes along the educational part of your club meeting. And so maybe you have a guest speaker coming in. Maybe it's the Missouri Department of Conservation, or maybe you have the fire department coming in to do a presentation to your club. Something to get club members a little more education or a little more exposure to something happening. This can also be a project time. Maybe you have a club, your club is doing a club-wide project. So everyone's going to work on a woodworking project together. And so this would be a program time. Sometimes volunteers or parents will also lead this, and youth. We'll see youth leading this program time a lot too. So that it's a variety of times that can last 20 minutes or maybe even longer. We also like to see a recreation or entertainment or social time. And so this sometimes goes in tandem with the program, but this is something for you guys to kind of relax and develop as a group. So get more connected with each other. Those are important parts of building community with your clubs, having that recreation or enjoyable time together. And then with all clubs, I'm surprised no one said this, is refreshments. We always have snacks or refreshments at every club. It's one of the best parts of 4-H meeting. We always have those refreshments. So those are some of the 5 major breakdowns that we have with the clubs. Does anyone do anything additional besides that? And we're going to talk about that business meeting a little bit. Does anyone else do any things outside of that? I'm going to take that as no. So we'll move on here. And so now we're going to jump into the business meeting part of this. And so we're going to kind of roll through so you guys kind of know what to expect and what should be on all of your agendas as presidents and vice presidents, what you should be covering at each club meeting. So when we get into this, we always do call the meeting to order. And so this is done by the president or the vice president, whoever's leading that meeting. They will call the meeting to order with a tap of the gavel. After that, we do roll call, and we had a few people talk about roll call. And so, yeah, usually the secretary will announce who if a person is there or not, and they'll call a name, do the roll call. Do we have any people here from a really large club that do roll call a little bit different, like they don't call out a name at the club meeting?
We have like a sign-in sheet with our club.
Yep, and some clubs do that, and it doesn't have to be on sizes, but some clubs just do a sign-in sheet, and that's totally fine as well. As long as everyone signs in at the club meeting, it can go in place of the roll call. And we have some clubs that are 70 to 100 people, and that takes a long time to get through. So they just have people sign in when they come to the club meeting instead of having to do the roll call. Thank you very much. Actually, I don't even know who said that. Thank you, whoever responded. So after that, we go into reading of the minutes. And so the secretary can read the minutes, and sometimes these can be printed out and members can read them, but we would love for the secretary to be able to stand up and read the minutes, and they'll know that being the secretary. My question off that too, though, is what are correspondence? So can anyone explain to me what correspondence are? Get some shocked faces. So correspondence are communications from people outside of the club, or someone maybe requesting something from a club. Maybe your club did a community service event at the local garden, and the garden head or the master gardener sent a club a thank you card for doing that community service work. And so this is the time that that secretary will read that card to the club, so they know what that correspondent was. So if you have any other communication from outside the club, that's called correspondence, or people corresponding with your club, seeing what's happening. The treasurer's report, as all of you, I'm sure you do, your treasurer will read the bank statements and kind of the balances as they go through that. And then we do go on to a report from committees. And again, we're going to break this down a little bit more because it's something that isn't super exposed a lot of time, but we want to make sure you guys are comfortable with what committees are and how they look. And so then we move on to old business. I'm sure a lot of you heard old business, but to clarify, old business is you have to have items that were talked about at a previous meeting that you're going to reevaluate now. Decisions weren't made at that previous meeting for them, and you have to have more discussion or voting on them at this current meeting. So maybe it was, what is our club going to do for a community service event? And you had a few different options, but you needed more details. And so you tabled that discussion so a committee people or some volunteers could get an idea and some more details about the community service event and then bring them back to the next meeting. And so then that's the time then you cover that in old business and decide on what community service event you're going to do. When we get into news business, this is something for the presidents or vice presidents, whoever's running the meeting, and the club leaders and anyone else to decide what needs to go on for that meeting. So maybe it's an upcoming event, maybe it's the county fair that we need to talk about. Other events that are pertinent to the club at this moment that hasn't been talked about in the previous meetings should go on new business. After that, it's program. We've already talked about the program. Those Missouri Department, or the speakers, Missouri Department of Conservation, maybe fire department, all those people, that program side should be part of the meeting. So that's the educational part of it. And then we call everyone back after that program is done, and then make sure there's no other additional topics to cover. And then we take a motion to adjourn. And that is what a business meeting will look like. We'll have more information and resources for you guys after this meeting, so you can look at this stuff if you have any questions on this or would like this list. So don't worry about that. We'll provide that to you. But this is just a general breakdown of what we would like to see in a club meeting. Anyone have any questions about that before we go on? Awesome. Okay, so I will turn it over to Kathy then for a little bit of work on parliamentary procedure. You're still muted, Kathy.
There we go. I lose You know, you lose all the people when you, so it is my screen sharing. There we go. Okay. So we are going to practice some voting. And I know that most of you are probably familiar with this process because it looks like we have a lot of older people on here or a lot of youth with a lot of experience as officers. So I was wondering if, think about this for a minute. I'm going to call on you here in a minute, but if we could get somebody to volunteer to be our president as we go through this example. So the main process is right here. You know, you start out, you have something you have to decide. And so you have some discussion about it. And when you feel like you're ready to come to a decision, you need a member to make a motion. And they don't say, I make a motion. They say, I move that, and then whatever it is they want to move. And then the president asks for a second. Another member has to say, I second the motion. The president then says, it has been moved and seconded that we, and you repeat whatever it is. And then this is an important part that a lot of people tend to forget. Is there any discussion? And you have to allow for discussion after a motion has been made and seconded. And I know that a lot of times a lot of discussion happens before a motion is made, but you still have to ask, is there any discussion after the second? Because maybe someone was kind of taken by surprise that somebody already made a motion, or maybe there's something in the way they worded the motion that someone is going to have an objection to. So you have to ask if there's any discussion and allow for that. And then after anyone that wants to speak has had a chance to speak, the president then checks one more time, is there any further discussion? And then says, seeing none, we will vote. All those in favor of, you repeat the motion, please stand. All those opposed, please stand. There's lots of different ways you can vote. This example says, please stand. How do you vote in your club on a motion? Would somebody like to jump in? You do something.
We say
other than
aye.
say aye and nay. Okay. What do you do? Did any of you have to have Zoom meetings back in the spring when we weren't able to get together? How did you vote then?
We just didn't have meetings.
That's the same thing that happened with us.
We actually had a Zoom meeting and we actually just did our normal routine, but we would just like say aye and nay, or we just go through it.
One thing that you can do with a Zoom meeting, and this is a reason why it's good to have people have their cameras on, but so you don't have to wait for everyone to try to unmute and say aye and all that. You can say all those in favor, thumbs up, and just have them do a thumbs up, you know, right by their face. And then all those opposed, thumbs down. So there are lots of different ways that you can do it as long as you call for both votes. You call for those that are in favor and those that are opposed. Okay, so we're going to give this a try, and what we're going to do, whoops, I'm clicking too many buttons. Okay, previous slide, I know it's here somewhere. There. We're going to order pizza. So how many of us on here tonight? Tanner, are there 15? Does that sound right? Something like that. So I'm sorry if I'm going to make you hungry because we can't really have this pizza virtually delivered to all of you, but we're going to order pizza for the 15 people that are on here. And I'm going to need, as I said, folks to volunteer to be the president. I'm going to need some to volunteer to be the members. And as we think about ordering pizza, there are probably 3 things we would have to decide. First would be, how many pizzas do we need? Second would be, what type of pizza should we order? And then the third, from where should we order from? We may go through all three of these. We may not, just depends on how it goes. But I don't know about you, but when I try to order pizza for a big group, we always wrestle with this. It's like, okay, you want to make sure you have plenty of pizza, but you don't want to pay for a lot of pizza that's going to be left over. And then you always have these pizza people that won't eat cheese or won't eat sausage or won't eat mushrooms or whatever. So I have the script on here for you. It's fairly easy. Can I get someone to volunteer to be the president? Do I have a volunteer?
I'll do it.
Who is that?
Delta.
Delta, thank you. And I will need a couple of you to be willing to jump in here with motions and think about how many pizzas we need. So you might want to just go ahead and unmute yourself so you can be part of this. So Delta, your issue that you're wanting folks to vote on is how many pizzas do we need? So take it over.
Wait, what was that? You cut out.
So the issue is how many pizzas do we need to order? So go ahead and lead us through this.
Can we get a motion to order 5 pizzas?
So
I second that.
Delta, hang on a second. Delta, as president, do you want to tell them what the motion should say, or do you want to just tell them what it is we need to decide?
What we need to decide.
Okay, so you want to start over on that?
Yeah. Okay, so we need to decide how many pizzas to order, what's going to be on them, and where we're going to get them from.
So let's start with how many pizzas do we need? And I'm glad you said all three of those things, because sometimes this happens in a meeting. If you have something kind of important to decide, like let's say you're going to have an activity day and you know, you might go somewhere and you might have refreshments, and there might be lots of things to decide about it. It's easier to break it down and decide one thing at a time, because then people can be more focused with their motions. So like with our pizzas, we do have to decide all three of those things. Let's focus on one thing at a time. So right now, let's focus on how many pizzas do we need? So was there somebody made a motion?
I motion that we have 8 pizzas ordered.
Josie, can you see the PowerPoint slide there that has the script? Can you see that, Josie? Where
Yes, I can see that.
Okay, and so you say you are making a motion, but the way you say it is I
move that we order 8 pizzas.
Excellent. President?
Is there a second?
I second that.
Sorry not to interrupt, but I feel like 8 is a tiny bit too much. I thought 5 would be better.
Okay, so hang on just a second. You can't really interrupt at that point. The president needs to say what, Delta?
It has been moved and seconded that we order 8 pizzas. Is there any discussion?
And then you would say,
Sorry.
who was that?
It was me.
Go ahead. Now say what you said a while ago.
I feel like 8 is a little too much for the pizzas. I thought 5 would be a better amount.
How about 7?
I can go with that.
Is there any further discussion?
So does anyone know what's going to happen? Have we come to any kind of agreement here?
Yes.
We've heard
7.
8 and 5 and 7. Do we feel like we're in agreement?
I think 7 was the final number.
So what has to happen since the original motion was for 8?
Have to have a vote.
Somebody has to amend the motion
Ah, excellent. Who said that?
for 7. I did, Amelia.
Ah, very good, Amelia. So Daniel, I think you're the one that was questioning the numbers. So you might
Yes,
need
I am.
to, okay, so you want to amend the motion?
I can. I moved to get 7 pizzas.
So the way you have to say that, and it's not up here on the script, we're getting into some challenging details here. You say, I move that this motion be amended by ordering 7 pizzas rather than 8.
I moved to a motion amend, sorry. To order 7 pizzas.
And now we have to have another second for the amendment.
I second that.
Seconding the amendment. Okay, back to the president.
Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, we will vote. All those in favor of ordering 7 pizzas, please give a thumbs up. All those opposed, same sign. It has been approved that we order 7 pizzas and yeah.
And tap your gavel twice. Okay, let's try this one more time. We hit a few bumps there because you guys were participating, which was wonderful, and we had some discussion and some changes, and that was great. So let's try it one more time. Can we get another person to volunteer to be president so somebody else can try this out?
I can do it if nobody else wants to.
And who was that?
Josie.
Sorry, I can't see everybody. So Josie, you're going to lead us through the vote on what type of pizza should we order?
Where's the script?
Yeah, that part's really missing. You're basically saying, okay, members, now we need to decide what type of pizza to order, and that's basically going to start it.
Okay. Now we need to decide what topping we want on our pizzas. Does anybody have a request?
Mushrooms.
Is there anyone to second that motion?
Okay, was that a motion?
No, it was a suggestion.
Okay.
And you sometimes might have discussion before someone makes a motion. As a matter of fact, that's usually the way it happens. You usually have quite a bit of discussion. So let's pretend, for the sake of not making this go on too terribly long, that we've spent lots of time talking about everyone's favorite pizza, and we've heard lots about what different kinds of pizza we want. And then go ahead and see if somebody will volunteer to make a motion and suggest some types.
What about cheese? Just cheese pizza?
Is there someone who will second the motion or suggestion?
I
Was-
seconded.
What was the motion? I'm sorry, I didn't hear. It kind of cut out.
Cheese pizza?
So she said, I move that we order 7 cheese pizzas.
Yeah.
And I did hear a second.
Okay. Is there any further discussion? Okay, seeing that, we will vote all of those in favor of ordering 7 pizzas with cheese. Please put a thumbs up. All those opposed, please put a thumbs down. The results, I didn't really see. I'm just gonna go with we're ordering cheese. So I was looking at the script. So, yeah.
So the motion passes.
Yes.
And this piece about and what it means for the club, sometimes there might be additional information. So if you're voting to do something, you might say, and everyone should be there at 6:30, or, you know, there may be additional details that you need to share. But I think we won't go through the third piece because we don't want to run short on time here. But I hope that you will pay attention to a couple of things that we learned here. One, as president or vice president, you're setting the example and you're teaching the younger kids how to follow parliamentary procedure. So when you have kids that say, I motion that, be sure and stop them and say, okay, we want to make sure we do this right. So what you say is, I move that. So help them to learn the correct terms to use. And as president and vice president, that's kind of your job. And I think Tanner is going to be talking more about that here in just a minute.
Thank you very much, Kathy. And yeah, and you guys will be surprised. And you have parliamentary procedure right now in 4-H, and if you're in FFA, you'll see this, but you're also going to see this when you become an adult too. Every business meeting for cities and governments and all, they all use parliamentary procedure. So it's a great time for you to learn now what those rules are, so you can impress others when you get a little bit older too. We're going to jump into committees now. And so committees are the big objective area for the vice presidents here. And so the vice presidents are the people that actually lead and oversee the committee work of the clubs or of your club. And so we have 2 types of committees. Let me get clicked on here. And so when we have active committees, those we expect to hear reports from them at each club meeting. So if there's things happening with them, the club should hear from those committees at each meeting. But we have 2 types of committees. Does anyone know what those 2 types of committees are, or even one of them? Would anyone have any idea what type of committees we have in 4-H?
Standing committee?
Yes, that is one of them. Great job. So standing committees is one of them. Is there anyone have an idea of what the other type of committee we have is? This one we don't hear as much as often, and those are special committees. And so when we look at standing committees, which it was Braxton or Daniel that said that, thank you guys. When we look at standing committees, these are something that you have every year. So they're usually in your bylaws, your club guidelines. They set a specific time for this committee to be together. And so when we talk about standing committees, they're usually like, you have a fundraising committee, or maybe you have a community service committee, and there can be a whole line of common ones. Maybe you have an activities committee. Some of those common things that you see clubs doing, those will be standing committees that happen every year. And so some people will sign up for that, and the vice president will be in charge of making sure those committees are staffed, or you have volunteers taking care of them. And so they'll run those events or make those decisions on those club events they do each year. And so those are standing committees. When we move down to special committees, what those are something that comes up that isn't something that you're going to see each year, or it's a really unique event. A great example of that right now is across the state, all the counties are designing new state fair banners for the state fair. And that's not something that we do every year. That's something we might do every 20 years. And clubs are putting together special committees, or 4-H councils are putting together special committees to take on designing that. And so it's a group, a special group of people that wouldn't usually be together that gets together for that specific task. And so anyone can make a motion that a special committee is formed. A lot of times we see the vice president or the president doing this, but anyone can form a special committee too. And so to take on those tasks, a lot of times special committees will be formed too, is if it's a kind of a complicated idea that needs some more thought to it, and you don't want to discuss that forever in your club meeting, it's a great time to take that to a special committee so they can kind of figure out all the details. And so again, the vice president runs the committee work. And so remember that if you are a vice president, you are in charge of the committee work of your clubs. Kathy, did you have anything to add to that? No, perfect. Okay, and so that kind of runs through the content area we're talking about heavily for presidents and vice presidents tonight. The last big topic we wanted to cover with you guys are some characteristics of what being an officer looks like in 4-H. And so we have a few that I'll share here in a second, but what are some characteristics or things that officers should do in a 4-H club or out in the public as a 4-H officer? Anyone have any ideas?
Set a good example for the people around.
Set a good example for the people around. It's a great one.
They should take leadership.
Yes, they should take on leadership roles.
Help anyone that's in need of assistance.
Yeah, so helping those around you in your club and outside of the community too. Get some of the basics of 4-H here. It's great.
Answer any questions about 4-H that people might ask.
So yes, you are a steward of 4-H. You're the go-to people sometimes for if people have questions about 4-H.
Oh yeah, a lot of people ask me questions.
That's great. We have one or two more people might want to share. Blaine, I saw you unmute. Do you have something to share or not?
Yeah, if they are, if they said a word wrong, or, like we were talking about earlier, if they say I motion, you should correct them and say I move.
Yes, so you guys are also educators, so you're wanting to set a good example for your club as well. Thank you very much, Blaine. That was great. And so these are a few of the things that we talked about. So you always should be welcoming the guests at your club. Maybe it's new members or new families coming in or guests. You as officers should be welcoming to anyone that comes in. So go up and talk to them as they come in. Help other officers with tasks. Someone kind of already mentioned that, helping others out. Helping officers and 4-H club members, we always want to make sure we're doing that too. And doing shout outs to clubs, the doers in your club. And so what this means is you as the officer team, especially as the presidents and vice presidents, you see a lot of what's happening in the club. And so you're in a great position to recognize people for doing some great work. And so maybe that's that vice president that sees some people doing some great work on some committees and they want to highlight that at the club. That's a great time to do some shout outs. And it really makes people feel good when they're recognized. So do a little recognition for the doers around your club that you see as well. Letting others lead. And so I heard that you should take on leadership responsibilities, and you're already doing that as a club leader, which is great. And we encourage you to keep doing that. But we also want you to encourage others to lead. Maybe there's other people in your club that aren't super involved and they haven't ran for an office, or they haven't been on a committee. maybe push them, encourage them to take on some more responsibilities. It doesn't have to be big, but small. So letting others lead in situations, and maybe it's someone that also does really want to lead more, and so giving them the opportunity to do that too. You all want to grow together, and so you all have to work together to do that as well. And so I heard representing your club, I was on here, great as well. And the last big thing here is enthusiasm. And so this might not be something that comes naturally to a lot of people, and that's totally fine. A lot of people are more reserved. Honestly, I'm a pretty reserved person, unless I'm teaching. I'm a little more enthusiastic at this point than I am on a regular basis. But people become much more comfortable if you have a little bit more of pep in your step. And so we love to see that in club meetings. And it's something you can kind of simply work on. Just speaking a little bit louder and being attentive when you're at club meetings. Enthusiasm can change a whole situation. Kathy or anyone else, do you have any other things you'd like to add to that?
While you're letting others lead, you can also guide them through it if they need any help.
Yes.
I just wanted to mention, as presidents and vice presidents, you are the leaders of your club, and you should always remember that in your club meetings or your activities, there are Clover kids and young 4-H members who are watching everything you do because they want to be like you. You may not realize it, but they think you're awesome and they want to be just like you. So you need to remember in your behavior when you're around them that there are little ones watching you that want to be like you. So you want to be the best you can be.
We want you guys to be great role models for outside the community and those in your clubs. Awesome. Thank you guys. And so that was the end of our major content tonight. We wanted to, though, open it up to the floor. Do any of you have any specific questions that Kathy or I could answer for you about being presidents or vice presidents? No issues if not. We're always open for a line. If you do have anything, please reach out to us or your local 4-H specialist anytime. We're happy to help you with any of that. So I have a few resources here, but I'm going to actually send an email out to you all with these, and so you'll have them. So a few parliamentary procedure breakdown as well. Kathy provided a great YouTube video for you to look at and some cards for you to roll through that can help you and your club members as well. And then I provided the state 4-H's quick overview of the president and vice president in YouTube form as well. And so you can take a look at those at another time as well. And so that's all we have for you guys tonight. Thank you so much for coming. Contact your local 4-H staff if you do have any questions. And I'll be sending out to my contacts later tonight a survey. If you guys have time, please fill out the survey. We'd love to hear from you so we can kind of improve our program as we go forward. Thanks, guys, and we'll stay on for a couple of minutes if you do have any questions.
And I just want to say thank you guys all for being here. You have shown a lot of the characteristics that we look for in club officers by being on here, because it means you want to be the best you can be, you want to learn more, you want to be a good leader. So we appreciate you being here.
Thank you, guys.